Live. Yes, we are live. Hi, everybody. My name is Yvette LaFleur, and it's always fun to see how the little runner on the bottom spells my name with Healing with Yvette. And I am here with Beth Fulp of Divine Flow. And I'm really excited to have Beth here because we met at a new moon ceremony at one community now in Roanoke. And Beth was talking about what she does with some numerology, and I was like, oh, I need to know more about this. So we got into this conversation, and I said, why don't you come and join me? We'll do a Facebook Live and we'll talk about this. And she said yes, and I said great. So let me tell you a little bit about Beth before we get started. Beth is a Roanoke native. She's the founder and owner of Divine Flow, which is a multi-layered holistic practice focusing on finding creative soul, S-O-U-L, solutions, love that, to overcoming life's obstacles. Because that's really, when we are looking for overcoming life's obstacles, we need to go to that soul level to really clear stuff away. So Beth is trained with some of the top teachers in their fields to discover how to manifest what is best for her clients. She utilizes a combination of Reiki, we are both Reiki masters, Feng Shui, space clearing, chakra balancing, elemental energy clearing, which is what we're going to focus on today, emotion code, body code, numerology, and oracle card readings. Like many of us in this arena, there's a lot of tools in the tool belt. So Beth is also a graduate of Interior Alignment School of Instinctive Feng Shui, located in New York City, and the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School, located in Asheville, North Carolina. She lives in Roanoke, Virginia, with her beautiful teenage son and a Black Labrador Retriever named Venus. Love that name. So welcome, Beth. I'm really excited to have you here to talk about elemental clearing and all of the things that come up, because one of the things to know, if this is your very first time signing into one of the conversations that I have weekly on Wednesdays, we can have a topic at hand, but Spirit can be like, knock, knock. Hey, there's something else we want you to cover. And so it comes to be. And that's the way we roll around here. So again, Beth, thank you for being here. And I'm really excited to talk about elemental energy clearing with you.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm equally excited to have the conversation with you about it and about some of the things that I've experienced with working with you as well.
Yay. So tell me, so I do clearing, regularly in the work that we do clearing, we clear energy, right? Mm-hmm. But what's the difference between clearing energy and elemental clearing?
Well, I mean, it's all kind of using to remove blocks. However, elemental energy clearing is based on something called the 9-star key, which is a type of Chinese feng shui astrology mix that is based on the elements of nature, because we all have an inner nature, and our inner nature, based on this philosophy, is based on the elements, which would be water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. Because as you know, or as I know, you probably know too, since you have a lot of 7s in your energy system, which we'll talk about later, is that when we get out in nature, it's calming. It brings us in the present moment. It grounds us. And with life being so busy and chaotic these days, the elements of nature are speaking through us in the way we do everything. And how I look at a person's elemental nature is based on their birth date. So the birth month, the birth year, the birth day. And then I have a chart based on the 9-star key I talked about. And I just go down the chart with your birthday and find out 3 numbers. And the first number is the main personality of the person, and it describes, let's say, their earth. It gives me a description of how their main personality has aspects of the earth element. Now, I'll give an example. The earth element can be very practical. They can be the type of person that needs to go into a room or their cave to kind of process their emotions before they talk to someone about it. The earth element tends to hold on to things more than being able to let go. They accumulate things. But then the middle number is about the emotional self. It's how we were as a child or inner child, or where we go when we're stressed. So the middle number, let's say it's water. There could be a lot of fear that comes up with a person that has water as their middle number. And the last number would be their life purpose and their lessons. And so that's more about the future and kind of what we need to learn more about in our element. So let's say the last number is 9, which is a fire sign. It's about the heart. It could be learning how to play more, how to bring more joy into life, how to be more open and accepting of self first, because it's all about loving self and giving to self before we can give to others. And so I give a person the 3 numbers and I record what their elemental nature is and email it to them. And then when they make the appointment, I send the recording first once they pay, and then they contact me and we do our energy clearing. And the clearing basically just removes anything in your auric field that's been trapped, like trapped emotions. Like for instance, if the water field has a lot of fear, then maybe that fear isn't in present time reality. Maybe it's fears of things that you've been holding on to in your field. And the energy field is just the 6 to 8 feet around us that we carry our stuff in, we process our emotions in, or don't process our emotions, but it's just really our energy field around our body. And so the clearing that I do just immediately, that's the great thing about this. It works immediately to just let it go. It's very gentle, but very powerful. And I use this tool, which is a pendulum. Mm-hmm. And the pendulum tells me when it's in clearing mode. It'll often go counterclockwise. And when you don't need a clearing in some element, because I go through a lot of the elements, it'll tell me that as well. And once in a while, a person's element is pretty clear, or it's not ready to let go of things yet.
Yes.
So that's pretty much in a nutshell what the elemental clearing goes over and processes.
So a question for you about that. So you said, first of all, you talked about me having 7s. And I will tell you that on a soul level, I started, when you talked about being outside and connecting with nature, I started to tear up because I have not been doing enough of that lately. And my soul misses it. Right. Mm-hmm. So that was my indication, like, oh yeah, reminder. Mm-hmm. So when you have, you're a 7, you're a 9, you're a whatever, that never changes. So if you are, I think you said one of the things 7s can do is hold on to things, collect things. So in the work that you do you help people see how that impacts their earthly life?
Yeah, so when I do the recording, people it's a general reading, basically, the recording, because everyone born on April 25th, 1972 is a 169, so to speak. But the recording hits on the uncanny parts of our connectedness. And for instance, my biggest thing that comes up could be fear, whereas someone else's water field could be about their ancestors or their inherited patterns. And so even though that's a general reading, we're all different, and we aren't just one size fits all. And we've had different life experiences, and we've had different parents and different ancestral patterning and all of that. And so that's what makes this so cool. So some things are highlighted and some things come to mind when I do the reading that they had forgotten about, or sometimes they say, I am doing that. So for instance, on one of the earth elements, a lot of in their sign or their pattern, they tend to overgive and underreceive. And so sometimes we've lived a life or years of overgiving, and we feel anger and resentment. and that's in our field. But
Mhm.
until someone realizes that there's not something wrong with them, they're not flawed, and they didn't do this on purpose, but this is part of their nature, then something kind of gets like a deep breath can be taken, and there's an acceptance that, there's nothing wrong with me. This is how I was made. This is part of me. It's beautiful. However, maybe I can start to give to myself more. Maybe I can start to ask for help and be grateful to receive the help and not feel like I owe someone something, because I know that because I am Earth.
Mhm.
And when I was younger, until I learned the hard way, I would overgive to get love and under receive. And I was like, I'll handle everything. I'll put out all these fires and I'll help this person. I'll help that person, because that was the way I felt lovable, or that I could give to the world.
Mhm.
But, the main thing is that we are just valuable humans because we're here.
Yes. Yes. You deserve love because you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that, when we can embrace the what's so about who we are, there is an incredible freedom. My husband and I joke about, he calls me the calendar girl because I calendar stuff. Now, part of that comes out of having a chaotic childhood. And so the control piece, and I've come to realize that. And so I've been able to release a bit of that, but it's still, it's a part of who I am. And so I embrace that. And I'm like, well, I got to put it in the calendar, right? And have it be humorous rather than it's got to be in the calendar. So,
Well, from the outside looking into you, what impresses me about you, and what I've already known to be true, even though we recently met, your organization skills are impeccable, and your readings are very succinct. And I really admire people who just do have it all sticking together, because I feel like sometimes my stuff's just spilling over and I'm catching what I can and this and that, and I do admire people that have it all buttoned up. So I do like that about how you present and what you do, and that's your nature. So it balances really well.
it does balance. And I'm so glad you think I'm all organized. If you were to, look around, no, that's why we're in this little spot right here, right? You don't see to the left, you don't see to the right.
Yes.
So what I really find fascinating about the work that you get to do with the clients that come to you is that you have this, it's almost like a baseline of information. And then I know you're tapping into your intuition and your guides and all of the information that you're getting for the clearing that you're doing. And there's a level, if I go to someone for healing work, I bring my story, my stuff, what I have to say. But the elemental clearing, what did you call it? The 9-star?
9-star key.
9-star key that it's almost using the word key. It's like you unlock some pieces to people that they may not have known, which then helps elevate their healing to another level.
It does, because, or they may have forgotten, because on some soul level we know. However, the clearings are so organic and interesting because we can really clear anything, so the power of intention is great. So yes, I do help people unlock some things because they're just sitting in their field. So for instance, I'll give an example. People don't know much about energy or don't know what field and all this means, but let's say my boss just chewed me out yesterday and I'm still holding on to feeling worthless, because that's what it triggered in me, which is a trapped emotion I may have gotten when my first boyfriend dumped me for someone else or cheated on, And so this untrapped emotion is in me. I get triggered by something that happens and I'm carrying it. I'm just carrying it with me and it's going over in my head. So the clearing just releases that, because it doesn't, I don't need that. I don't need that to move forward. It's blocking my energy systems. It's the energy meridians, the chakras in our bodies. If they're blocked, then we shut down something inside of us, and we can get diseases, and we can just look at life through the veil of a cloudy lens, so to speak. So the clearing kind of just lifts it off. And sometimes after a clearing, people feel lighter and more able and capable to do the things they were doing before something happened to them, or they just feel kind of renewed and like they have they're more grounded and balanced. And so that's why the clearing works so well. And we go through things like the first field of the clearing is disturbing effects of others. Well, every day someone gets disturbed by a person, place, or thing, even if you're driving in traffic. And so then we go through the other fields. Water is about fear, trust, ancestors, and inherited issues and patterns. It has to do with the kidneys. And the wood has a meaning. It's more about anger and forgiveness. And we go down the line. But as someone gets a clearing, there is an organ system that gets balanced as well. And if that organ system, for instance, the heart has been shut down due to betrayal, then that gets a little more, that'll get some lifting. It won't happen all in one session, but you'll feel some relief. And then the heart gets balanced, and you may be able to feel more joy than you were before. So that's kind of how it works.
I'm glad you tied in the organs, because there's, oh gosh, I mean, we could talk for hours about the stuff that gets trapped in our bodies because of the life events and the meaning that we attach, and, you know, how we felt about it, and yada, yada. And I want to go back to the boss chewing you out, feeling worthless, and say to anyone listening to this live or the recording, if you find yourself saying things like, he made me feel, or she made me feel, then that's a trigger to you to set an appointment with Beth or myself to clear that energy, because no one makes you feel anything. If you're triggered, then it's something that's trapped in you that needs releasing, so that you have the freedom to not be triggered by that.
Yes. And when you do Reiki, because I do Reiki too, we're both Reiki masters, but when you're touching someone, do you actually feel like, can you describe kind of when you do a session to how you're lifting that out, or how you're kind of getting that off of them? I mean, we probably do it very similar, but I've never had a session, but I want one very badly. So can you explain kind of what you do, or how?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I had to come to terms with when I was learning Reiki and I was developing my practice, was that I don't sense and feel things like other people may. Instead, I get images, I get songs, I get words, and I also have light language come channeling in. And based on the tone and the dialect of the light language, I know whether we're releasing or filling.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I know there are energy healers who are like, oh, I feel like there's a dark spot here, or I can feel this being released. That's not my gift at this point. It's more of like, oh, I get the images of, it all depends on the person, because what I get is personalized to them, and it's about a memory, or it's about something that's important in their life, and I can tell that we're releasing it, or I can tell that it's something that needs to be brought to the surface for them to remember, so that they can do the releasing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And that's fascinating, because I think, I've had a lot of Reiki with different people, and it's similar as far as releasing things and getting things out of us, bringing to the surface to heal. But everyone has a different way that they uncover and unblock and help the person by getting the messages. So that's really fascinating.
And that's why I think it's so important for those of you who are listening. If you've had an energy healing session and you're like, I don't think that really worked for me. It could be the energy of the healer and your energy were not a match.
Yes.
My mother went to an energy healer, and I got a text message from her afterwards, and she's telling me, some of the things that the healer was saying. And I was like, well, that's weird. I hope you don't give up on, on Reiki and energy healing because of that experience, because
Yeah.
I've never heard of anybody saying that kind of stuff to a client. So yeah, find, if it doesn't work the first time, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah,
Find another person.
I think so. And, a lot of stuff is word of mouth as well. And so usually if friends refer friends, they know if their friend's going to connect for the most part or not. And
Yeah.
as I build my website that's not done, that I keep telling myself I'll get to, then we might get a random person. And like you said, it may or may not be a fit, but at least they're trying. But yeah, I would try at least 3 different people before I would give up on energy work. And I've really, had people just really been skeptics that have all of a sudden been like, okay, now you're onto something there or whatever. And that's been a good feeling as well. And I'm sure you've experienced that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you talked a little bit earlier about the releasing and the sense of peace that people have. And my favorite thing is when someone falls asleep during a session,
Oh
right? They
yeah.
take a wakey nap because just surrendered to the work their soul wants to do.
Yes, and that is such a great feeling.
It
They
is.
don't do that when I do this clearing, but when I've had really great Reiki, or when I've really needed to just go deep and fall asleep, it is the best feeling. Yes, you are so right.
I'll wake up from one and I'm like, oh, I love a Reiki nap.
I know we need to I need to be in a circle in this exchange the Reiki. So yeah, that's really cool. Appreciate you, talking a little bit about that as well.
So I want to say something about the exchanging the Reiki, because one of the things that I'll be offering again, I think starting in October, is an energy exchange.
Mhm.
But it's virtual. I do it virtually. And I want people to know that you do not have to be energy trained to participate. Because I have found that anyone who comes to events like this, because I've done them in the past, I believe that we've all been, those of us who are called to this, have been attuned in past lives.
Yeah.
And so, if you come, if you're interested, there's a really good chance that it's about you reconnecting with that
Mhm.
inner knowing. So be on the lookout for that. And I hope that you can join us as well, Beth, because we do breakout rooms if the group is large enough, and each person gets their own healing, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out for that. That sounds wonderful.
Anything else you want to share about what you do? I mean, I know there's so many different services that you offer.
Yeah, mostly with inside the elemental clearing though. It's very flexible, which is great because I have people I had one woman come to me and say, I think I have some curse through my family. This keeps happening and that pattern keeps happening. And so a big clearing that I do, which when I say big, it's basically 5 clearings in one. It's ancestral clearing, and we clear the person coming for a clearing, and then we clear their mom and dad and up that family line, and then we clear the mom's family line and the mom's mom and dad and the dad's family line and the dad's mom and dad. And often all the ancestors that kind of sprout off from that branch, so to speak, get a healing, even if they're not on this earth. And
Mhm.
so it clears up some of the patterns, because we can even transfer trauma and PTSD through DNA. A lot of scientists study the science of epigenetics. And so what if a clearing could really just kind of clear that out so that that's not part of the next generation's weight to carry or baggage, so to speak. And there's also something I do called time travel, where I can clear a day that you had a traumatic event in the past. So it was September 20th, 1997, so to speak, and you had a terrible thing happen. I can go back and we can clear you on that day, who you were then. And that will help kind of release that so that the memories don't come up as much, or something can change in the future based on you still thinking about that past event. And so we can clear those types of things. I can clear before someone goes to court for divorce, so to speak, and that really helps them feel grounded and centered and maybe even get a good outcome. So I never say I can do this for you, like I can make you win something or a great outcome, but often because of the clearing, the person does have a pretty good outcome after a clearing. And so I can't explain how that works. It's just a side effect, a benefit of the clearing. So that's what I pretty much want to say. I do have a lot of modalities I do, but there's a lot. Same with you, there's a lot to cover, but that's kind of the great thing about the clearing part is that there are inside of that, there's so many ways you can work it. So that's what makes it so fascinating to me.
Yeah, and it goes to, yes, when we do our work, we never guarantee because there's free will involved.
Yes.
So we can clear the crap out of something, but there's free will.
Yeah.
It can be powerful. Let me ask you a question about the clearing a time in the past.
Yes.
I love that concept.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, like, there's a soul knowing that when I was 8 years old, there was a sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
I know the who, excuse me. I don't remember it. Don't know anything about it. Like, I have not been shown that. So I don't know the date. I don't know any of that. Can that be cleared even though there's not a date?
Yes, because it's a memory, and depending on how strong the feeling or the belief or the trauma is in you, we don't have to have an exact date. You can tell me the age, because people don't always remember dates, but they remember how they felt, or they remember what is inside of them that just doesn't feel right. And yes, so that can be cleared.
Okay, great. I think that's important for people to know, because we don't often remember dates. You could have had, there's lots of stuff that could have happened, right? And you don't, that there was a day when your parents told you they were divorcing. You don't remember the day.
No, but
You just know,
you remember
that.
that from that moment
Right.
forward, nothing was the way it was.
Right.
And so the clearing can just help the disturbing effects of others. The first layers takes that person's energy off of your imprint that was imprinted on you in that moment. And then as we go through the other things, it balances out, because maybe they robbed you of joy because there was something that's triggering, and so we clear the fire energy for that. And so we clear that person that did not ask for any of the stuff, and we get it out of their field so that you don't have to revisit that, or maybe something in your body lets it go, so that maybe the lower back that's aching because it didn't get out, whatever the part of the body, it has a way to go. Or maybe pairing that with energy clearing with Reiki or your crystal readings that you do, which I'd love for you to mention before we get off. But all of that as a combo could really be like a powerhouse to blast out some of these things that are really holding someone back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And could you mention that? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the crystal divination. I think what occurred to me after you said that you wanted me to mention it was there's a similarity. So crystal divination is like a card reading, but with crystals. I think that's the best way to make a synopsis. But it's not like, when I do it, I'm not going to say, oh, I see a tall brown haired guy, it's not like that. It uncovers, for me, what they have done is it helps uncover what you don't see in the different areas of your life. So in that way, it's like the 9-star key of letting people know, oh, you're an earth, you're a water, this fear, the joy, I keep thinking collection with the earth, so it uncovers. When I do the crystal divination, I can say in the area of relationships, this is what the crystals are saying. In the area of your family, this is what the crystals are saying. Children, job, social relationships, spirituality, values and possessions. So it uncovers what you're not seeing.
Subconscious.
Yeah.
Subconscious is driving the bus for us all, which means we have a subconscious that's 95% making the choices for us. But we're not conscious always of what that is coming up. And so what you're doing is you're just bringing that to the surface. So once it's an aha, do I need that? Can I let that go? It's like decluttering your spiritual field, so to speak, or your life, in a way that involves energy.
I love the decluttering. Declutter with crystals. Declutter with a divination.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's what both of us do with any energy work is about decluttering.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share or ask before we go?
I think that's good. I think we pretty much hit a lot of great topics and had a great discussion. And I guess if they want to know more, we'll make an appointment with us, or
So how do people find you?
Yeah.
How do people find you, Beth?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm on Facebook under Divine Flow, and you'll find most of my information on there, and Instagram. I can't remember. I think it's divine.flow.1111, because the 1111s are very profound in my conscious. They used to be in the subconscious, but now they're in my conscious mind, which if you see me post 1111, there's a lot of backstory to that, which maybe sometime we can talk about angels and numbers and all those cool things. But that's how you find me. Basically right now on Facebook, I will have a website up. I don't have a date yet, but I'm working on it. But it'll be in the near future, and I'll post that on my Facebook, Divine Flow, when that's around. And then I have a page called The Wealth, spelled WELLTH, because I believe that prosperity goes along with how well we are in our body. So, those are some places you can find me.
Awesome. And for those who are looking for me, Healing with Yvette, YVETTE, for my website, for Instagram, for YouTube, for Facebook. I was lucky enough to have a name that isn't particularly common, so I was able to have it be the same all over. Yeah, and if you would like, go to my website. I have a free downloadable that gives you opportunities to actually support your 7 main chakras using crystals and archangels and yoga poses and foods, etc. So go on and grab that. And Beth, thank you again for your generosity with your time. And boy, you are a wealth of information when it comes to this. So I'm really excited to talk with you about it, and I cannot wait for our appointments back and forth.
Definitely, me too. And thank you so much for having me. And I feel the same about you. So thank you so much. And I hope your rest of your day goes well.
Thank you.